how you were going to start that.
I know. I could feel you looking at me.
So intense.
Yeah.
I was like, he has to do this. I told Josh before we started recording that he has to open the podcast because I was eating some dinner. And by dinner, I need these little mini Reese's cups that we got as an impulsive purchase.
They're so good.
Last night. Oh, gosh.
Nice.
A piece of peanut butter got stuck in my throat.
Do you have your water?
I do, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So, want to tell them about the episode this week?
Oh, like what we're going to talk about. Yeah.
A brief overview.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we left off last week at like how we met and how we started dating and stuff.
Yes.
We talked about like guys, you know, different techniques or
our do's and don'ts for Christian guys asking out Christian girls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this week, you know, we were thinking maybe we could just sort of tell our story of how we
a little bit more of our story,
kind of continuing on from there, and like what our dating life was like, and then getting engaged. Yeah, because I think there's some things to tell there.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's really maybe relatable to a lot of people who feel, we'll get into it. But first, I have something very important to get off my chest.
Oh, my. Yeah. What's this thing that's very important to get off your chest? Because I have something very important to get off my chest once you're done.
Wait, really? You didn't tell me about this?
I know.
Oh, my gosh. I'm driving out of work today. Just thanking the Lord for a good day. And what monstrosity do I see on the street? I'll tell you. It was a Jeep pickup truck.
Oh.
This is, okay, if you drive a Jeep pickup truck, I'm going to just say this. You should reassess your life and all the choices you've made up to this point.
Yeah.
Because, hot take, that's the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life. That thing looks like freaking Dr. Frankenstein's creation, his number 2.
Number 2, yeah.
So, like, it just looks like they just jammed all the pieces of things together.
Yeah.
And this thing crawled out from the depths of Sheol to curse us all. Okay, I feel a lot better.
Wow. I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some strong feelings.
Yeah.
What is Dr. Frankenstein's, what was the first monster called? Was it called something?
I think it's just called Frankenstein's Monster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have Mary Shelley on the show.
Yeah.
LOL JK.
Hello.
Very good, very good. So the thing
I'm pumped up.
I think this will get you pumped up too. What I have to get off my chest.
Good. I'm in the mood to be kind of pumped up.
Yeah. I mean, you already know what it is, but I'm gonna say what's on my chest.
I don't know.
Yeah, you'll know. You know.
Okay.
So me and Tori have been watching the show. We actually just finished watching it. We watched season 1.
Let me just say this: we finished absolutely binge watching this show.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. I think it took us 24 hours to watch.
No. Oh, no, you're right.
Because it was 2 nights.
Yes.
We started it.
Oh, I'm ashamed.
Right? Am I wrong?
Wait, no, I think it was 3 nights.
Oh, it was 3 nights. Okay. So it's 48 hours, yeah. Yeah, 48 hours.
Yep.
Anyway, we watched season 1 back when it came out back.
Okay,
it was like...
You didn't say the name of the show.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
I'm building it up.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We watched season 1 back when it came out. I think it was like kind of the pandemic time. Like I think it like that May or something.
Yeah.
And then season 2 just came out like a couple months ago. So we watched it in 48 hours. And it's Love is Blind.
Okay. I wonder if anyone else has seen this. I was about to ask the question, has anyone else seen this?
Yeah.
But no one can respond.
I know. No one can respond.
I forgot.
They can comment, yeah.
Yes, please comment.
Please, yeah, that'd be great. Send us a DM.
It makes me so freaking happy.
I know. I like when people comment too.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
It feels so good.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a show about a group of men and women who get put in like their separate quarters. So they have like a men's quarter and a women's quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of the show is they all date each other. The men date the women date the men, but they can't see each other. So they get put in these things called pods, and they each have like their own room, and there's like a microphone in there that they speak into, and the other person on the other side can hear it, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically date. So they, do like what people who are dating do.
Can I
So
say some more specifics about
sure,
it?
yeah.
Okay, so it's like 14 men and 14 women, and they signed up to do what they call it an experiment to test out
if love is blind.
So good, baby. It's perfect delivery. If love is indeed blind.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to take away the physical aspect of it and just have you talk to these people, just date these people with like a wall between you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if there were a wall between Josh and I right now, and they talk for like hours.
Yeah.
A day.
And they do it for, I think they said 10 days.
Oh gosh, it's so long.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're doing it with each person. So like, if I was on the show, I would do this with 14 other women. If you were on the show, you would do it with 14 other guys.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But like, I mean, that's the point. So you're dating these men and women for 10 days. I think you can pick and choose who you want to talk to after the first day.
We're still not very clear on how it works.
Yeah.
There's just some questions that I have, like, because, they show so little of, they show a lot, but, it's really a little. They don't even focus on each of the 14 men and women. They kind of choose a few key characters to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they can, like, I guess the first day they're doing like a round robin, or maybe the first couple days they're just doing a round robin.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing after that you can kind of start maybe telling the producers like who you want to keep focusing on.
Yeah.
And that's how I guess it happens.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing I wanted to get off my chest about the show is there's this guy in the show.
Oh.
I won't say his name. I won't say anything about him because I don't want to like spoil it for anybody who is either watching it or plans on watching it.
Yeah.
But this guy, it makes me question the screening process to get on the show.
I guess so.
Because he's a
right.
straight up narcissist.
Yes.
And what I mean by straight up narcissist is, well, I mean, it could mean a ton of things. But one of the ways that he displays his narcissism is if a woman, so he'll go into the pod getting ready to talk to this woman. And one of the first questions is, so can I put you on my shoulders, like at a music festival?
Would I be able to?
Would I be able to like determine their weight and determine like,
it's horrible
because he doesn't.
Yeah. He's on the wrong show.
It was so weird. It almost like kind of ruined it in a way. I mean, it was entertaining.
It was good TV.
It was good TV. I felt horrible for the women because it was terrible.
Yeah, he was asking, like, he was trying to be deceptive in the way he was asking the questions to these women. He wasn't trying to get to know their personalities. He was trying to get to know their like measurements.
Yeah. Those were like his first questions. Yeah, one girl he asked
good.
like, "What's your dress size?" and like things like that.
Yeah, would I be able to put you on my shoulders? And he was really focused on like the music festival part of it.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah.
And
If someone starts watching it, they'll know right away who it is.
Yeah.
This is like revealed in like the first episode.
Yeah. So that's not really a spoiler, but no, he just is like, I don't know. I was kind of bummed.
Yeah, it was.
Like, man, this guy, like, what is he doing on the show?
It was hard to watch.
And surely, one of the producers, somebody in the screening process, was like, "Oh my, this guy's terrible.
We must have him now."
That had to have been the decision.
Yeah,
they had to have known.
I think that's the whole point of shows like this is, they're not they don't care about the contestants, know?
Yeah.
They care about ratings, and this guy was going to give some really, really good ratings.
Yeah.
And they may have been afraid that the people they picked or who signed up or whatever were too boring. Not, I don't want to say boring. Well, boring for them, or boring for watchers. But so they wanted to have a safety net, and this guy was their safety net.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
I don't know if they would consciously think that though.
Maybe not. That's how I kind of.
I think it was more
in
just
retrospect.
I think it was probably just more like, oh wow, this guy is horrible.
We must have him.
We really struck gold here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that might have been more the process.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Oh, dude, he was the worst.
Yeah, he was rough.
He was just so angering. Like we were watching, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Like you couldn't give this guy advice. Like he's the kind of guy you give advice, and he just makes a joke out of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, but the whole season was really, really good.
I mean, we watched it like 3 days.
It's really fresh in our heads because we watched all of it in 3 days.
Yeah.
I feel like I was watching this, and it's kind of weird to say, but it was kind of relatable.
Oh,
in a
interesting.
really weird way.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Like, you could see. Okay, this is the big reveal. Not really.
The big reveal.
I'm not gonna give anything away, if I can help it.
Okay.
Like the biggest. Josh is drinking some water right now. What was I gonna say? So it was relatable in the sense that I could see a lot of like some of the couples, or some like people getting like commitment phobia. And I know that's kind of like a cliche thing to say, but like you could really see it. It's really like watching from the outside looking in. It really manifests that way. And I don't mean, yeah, okay, whatever. And so like
Can I sorry, just to add to what you're saying.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So like kind of the way it works is that they do the thing.
We didn't finish how it works.
Well, I think it's just going to add to what you were saying.
Okay.
It'll make sense, like maybe why they were feeling some commitment phobia. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like they do this thing for 10 days in the pods where they're like dating each other, and then at the end of the 10 days they have to like propose to somebody.
They call it sight unseen.
Oh gosh.
They literally propose through a wall.
Yeah, without ever seeing the person, right? So they propose, and if the other person says yes, then they can see each other face to face. So like
there's like a big reveal, whatever.
Yeah, they get all dressed up, and there's a big reveal, and they see each other, and blah blah blah. Anyway, from there they then go on vacation for a week, all together.
Mm-hmm.
The couples who propose to each other.
Yeah,
and
all the couples
yes.
vacation together and this season it was Cancun. I feel like it was that last season.
Yeah,
too.
I feel like that's where it was last year too, or last season. And then from there they have, I want to say it's like maybe 4 to 6 weeks to be back in real life to prepare for the wedding.
I think it's 4 weeks.
Because then the wedding is right.
The wedding is like the 4th week.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
So it's like boom, boom, boom.
So they're like, they I don't want to say forced to live together, because I could see if, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't be allowed on the show then if they weren't okay with living together before marriage.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. They're living together. At one.
Although I don't know if they are. I mean, we see scenes of like each one, like bringing the other one to their place and showing them around. But I don't think. I mean, sure, there are a couple where they do stay. I think they make it clear. But I think there were a few that like
didn't live together.
Didn't make it clear. Yeah.
Oh, that might be true. I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, they're living together. I would assume they're all living together before marriage, and before the wedding. In sin. Oh my gosh. And so they're living together before the wedding day, and the whole point is like to see if they can figure out within these 4 weeks if they can get married, if they can say I do at the altar.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Like, the couples have to make the decision at the altar whether they want to get married or they don't want to get married. So they get all glammed up, like either like they get all glammed up in the wedding dress and the hair, makeup, whatever. The guy has a suit or tux or whatever. It's the wedding day. The guy is waiting for the bride. The bride comes down regardless of her decision. And then the officiant is the one that says, okay, now it's the time to make your decision. And he goes to, I guess it's random who he goes to first, maybe not. And he says, okay, so-and-so, like, what is your decision? And she either says, I do or I don't, or he goes to the guy first and he either says, I do or I don't.
Yeah.
And then the bride is the one who has to walk away.
Right.
And if they say, I don't, or they say, I do, and they get flipping married.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's truly insane.
So all this to say, you were saying you felt like you could sort of relate in a way.
Yes, because I could really see the fears coming out. Like, and it's, of course it's a hot mess train wreck. Like, people are showing their fear for commitment. And I'm not blaming them for that. They're thrust into this whole crazy situation. It gets crazy, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this crazy situation where they pick their life partner.
Yeah.
Through this experiment.
Yep.
And it's, you skip like a bajillion steps in a relationship. Like,
yeah, that's what it feels like.
They're dating without seeing each other. And by dating, they're not even like going out and doing activities together.
Nope.
Their dating portion of the relationship is sitting in pods. We call them pods. They're like rooms, it's kind of like this.
That's what they call them.
They call it pods, yeah. It's kind of weird. But they're sitting in pods, talking about anything and everything, and developing like what they call it, like an emotional connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are then there's the pressure of seeing each other for the first time, because let's be real, physical attractiveness is a huge part of the person you're seeing. For sure. Like, and that's okay. Like, I don't know, maybe some people don't rank it as high or whatever, but I think for the majority of us, we could say, it's a factor.
For sure.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that's a really big pressure. And so you're seeing each other for the first time. You feel the pressure to like, will I like the way they look? Will they like the way I look?
Yep. Yep.
And because, not everyone is everyone's type.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the whole point of the show. Can this emotional connection that we created either overshadow the physical appearance, or will I don't know. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
No, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. Is like they fall in love with each other and get
this
married.
Emotional connection that we formed in the pod strong enough to get us to the altar where we both say I do.
Yep.
So then they are in their pre-honeymoon with all the other couples, and they're this is the first time now that everyone is seeing each other. So that's also a huge thing to process. So, and it's so crazy. I guess it's so crazy because me and you are really big processors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when there's something that bothers us, we've learned that we can't come up with the answer of why it's happening right then and there. Because, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this, where it takes a second to be like, it takes a second, takes a day, takes a few hours, whatever, to say, hey, I realized why this was bothering me. Yeah. And then the other person can be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you move on. And so it's crazy. And then, so like when something like this is happening, you're just skipping like all of that processing time. There's no time to get closure on anything that has happened. There's no time to think about anything. You just feel this overwhelming pressure to just make it work with the person you've chosen and who's chosen you. So am I giving too much away, do you think?
I was thinking that, but I was also thinking like the reason we're saying all this is to sort of lead into. Yeah,
this is all leading into a personal story. So we're not going to talk about this show for the next hour or whatever. Yeah. And we're going to try really hard not to make this episode as long as last week's episode. If you watch that, if you listen to the whole thing, like, I love you. Like,
God bless you.
Like, Anna on you, Anna on your cow, Anna on your family. Like, thank you. One love. You know what I'm talking about?
That was good.
Thank you.
That was a good Mulan reference.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to try really hard to stick to our normal times.
Yeah.
Still long, but, you know, not, yeah, whatever. So, yeah, this is also leading to a personal story and like a portion of our story when we were dating. So there's no processing time. And so you can kind of see that a lot, you know, all that pressure in such short amount of time kind of manifesting itself in different ways with different couples, you know. And in the moment watching it from this point of view, you're like, they're acting crazy, but when you really put yourselves in their shoes, you can kind of really relate. So
yeah,
a lot of times what happens, and this is just in general, you see a couple and they really connect in the pods, and then this happens regardless any season you watch, and I'm sure, well, there's only 2, but in future seasons, past season, this has happened, and they just, something goes wrong in the outside world. I can't even call it the real world because there's cameras everywhere, and to me that's also so still not real.
Yeah.
So,
But there will be stuff that'll happen outside of
things that aren't even filmed.
Yeah, like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and you just kind of like, you're like, how did it get to this point with them? And where they're kind of doubting, you know.
Sure.
And I can really relate to that because there was a time in me and Josh's relationship where I was strongly doubting our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So back to our dating journey.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, we're done talking about Love is Blind now.
Do you want to talk?
No,
say
I'm
one more
not.
thing?
Yeah.
I'm kind of done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. We spent 20 minutes talking about Love is Blind.
Yeah.
And I love it. I could talk about it forever. There's a lot of thoughts I have on it, but
yeah. It is a good show.
It's such a good show. Well, it's not for little ears. It's a very adult show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mature.
Yeah, no. It's a mature show.
Yeah.
It's
curse
rated
a lot.
Yeah, it's rated at TV MA, mature audience. Yeah.
So if we can give you the spoilers if you don't want to watch it.
Sure.
Just DM me. We got you.
Mm-hmm.
The last week we left off, like Josh was saying earlier, you know, he asked me out and we went on a couple of dates. And I remember after the first date, I was feeling extremely anxious and overwhelmed. I don't know why, but I remember coming home and texting my best friend. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just feeling like alarms everywhere in my head. Like I feel really not like at peace with this.
When was this?
I think I was over spiritualizing it at that point.
When?
After our very first date.
Gotcha. Okay.
And she was like, she was a true friend and in love. She said, Tori, get a hold of yourself. It was one date. Just keep going. It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't gotta marry him. I don't know if she said that, but it would be funny if she did.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, fine. So we went out on a second date and I felt more comfortable and we kind of got into a deeper discussion, kind of really going on a deep dive into everything that happened the year prior with me, I think. And then our third date, he took me out to a really nice dinner in the city. And I feel like we were a lot more comfortable with each other at that point.
Yep.
And really having a good connection, you know. And so, like, we definitely liked each other. And we definitely wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
So, after that, you know, we started dating. And it was awesome. It was amazing. And we were having so much fun. And for Christmas, you surprised me with tickets to The Lion King for January.
On Broadway, yeah.
On Broadway. Yeah. In New York. It was so exciting. And that's where we said, I love you for the very first time in New York. And it was really romantic. Are you okay with me saying all of this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you were kind of giving me a look and I wasn't sure.
I guess I was just thinking, like, that sounds like it was really quick. Like, it was only, like, a month and a half into us dating.
Yeah.
But I know for me, because I was the first one who said it, for me personally, I truly felt like that. You know what I mean?
And I did as well. Like,
Yeah.
when I said I love you back, and it felt really right.
It did. Yeah, it did.
It felt weirdly right and not
Yes.
scary
Yep.
to me or to either of us.
Yes.
So, but then disaster struck. Yeah. So we were trying to de-web this situation before we started recording, and we just came to the conclusion that it was impossible. So I'll just try to say this
It was impossible to de-web. Yeah.
So I'll just try to say this as bluntly as possible, just not try to whatever. So I just started doubting our relationship, and I couldn't give you any reason why. I just woke up one day and my heart was pounding when I thought about, not in a good way, my heart was pounding in anxiety at the thought of me and Josh being together. And it was the weirdest feeling. I did not like it. I did not want to feel that way, but I just can't explain it. I just felt so like restless about it. So I come to my birthday, my 22nd birthday.
Which was like a few weeks later.
Weeks later. My birthday's in February. So later February. So, like a month later, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know between that time when I started feeling the downs. I feel like it was maybe 3 weeks after the Broadway show.
So it was pretty soon before your birthday.
Yeah, because I wanted to tell you right away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That sounds weird, but you
just wanted to be honest. Yeah.
I wanted to be honest because of course. So I just remember feeling this weird feeling. I didn't understand where it was coming from, and so we had my birthday celebration at my parents' house where I was still living, and Josh came over for cake and everything. And like that night, I remember we were sitting in the living room, and I told you, I don't even know how I said it, but I was like, I'm having doubts about our relationship, I guess, or I feel really like anxious about our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you were really caught off guard, understandably, because
Mm-hmm.
we had said I love you like a few weeks earlier, like everything was going really well, and I hated making you feel like that, but at the same time, that's how I felt. And I hated even more that I couldn't give you a good reason why. There was no good reason, and this continued. Oh, and then we decided to give each other some space for a weekend. You were going away to some sort of reunion or whatever.
Yeah.
And I stayed back, and I remember I cried all weekend.
Yeah.
It was all like, I'm not trying to victimize. It was all my fault, but I didn't want to feel that way. It was so weird. I didn't want to feel like I was having doubts. I felt like I had two personalities, like was it like Jekyll and Hyde in me, and I was just like one of them was like no, another one was like, but I want us to work, whatever. So
yeah, sorry, I just want to insert this, that I don't know if we talked about it at this. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna wait to say this until after you're done saying what you were saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Okay, go ahead. Not go ahead. I'll go ahead.
You got it. Yeah.
So I'm just like wrestling with myself. I go over to my best friend again, and I'm like just sobbing at her house, and she's just like trying to comfort me, trying to understand. I wonder if she remembers anything from that time that could give me some insights, because I really don't remember what it was, and I think that's because there wasn't a really good reason. So
I think I remember you and I talked after that, and you were like, yeah, she just said that I'm just overthinking and I need to relax.
Yeah, I really was putting like a ton of pressure on this relationship. I don't know if it's because we said I love you, but to me it didn't feel like too early to say that. It just kind of, it was, I remember thinking it even before we said it out loud. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Like it was all I could do to not just blurt out I love you before we said it.
I think and maybe this is it, is that it just, everything was becoming much more, it was becoming real. Like it was really, it was becoming a reality, and it was getting very serious. And I think at that point we were both like, okay, yeah, this could really be it. Like this could go all the way, you know?
Yeah.
And so for marriage is what I mean. Yeah.
And in some people that expresses itself as excitement. To me, that expresses itself as sabotage. And I also think maybe that some part of the previous year played into it. Like, there is no, like, you just are always going to carry that baggage around with you until, I don't know, time heals everything, right? Or time heals all. Like, but there is no amount of time that you can say, and by, you know, the year previous, I mean, like, changing my major, my breakup, my grandma passing away, like, I guess, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it, like, still kind of healing from that. I don't know. It didn't feel like that was the reason, though.
Yeah, I don't
really know if that had anything to do with it.
I don't know.
I shouldn't have even said that. But
no,
this continued like all summer. It would
for a while. Yeah.
All summer into the early fall.
Yeah.
And I know what you're thinking. How did Josh just not bail? I don't know. We can ask him now. Josh.
Okay. Yeah.
How did you not bail?
Well, so this is what I was going to say. I was going to say that, you know, you and I would discuss this probably once every couple of weeks.
Yeah. Like, you would do like check-ins.
Yeah. And we would do it for how long it lasted, which is like 8 months. Lasts for a good amount of time.
That's crazy.
And we would sort of like walk through our relationship and go like, okay, what?
He was so patient. Like, oh my gosh, so patient.
Yeah.
With me.
We just like try to figure out where are the red flags, because I think if nobody knows us, it might come off as like I manipulated you into staying and getting married because you were freaking out, which I really
that
wasn't.
Was not it at all. Like,
yeah.
If anything, I manipulated. I feel like it would be me who manipulated you into staying, because I was like,
no, not even close. Because you threatened to leave a bunch of times. You know what I mean?
That sounds horrible.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't really threaten to leave.
You didn't. Sorry, that sounds really bad. You didn't threaten to leave.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, you didn't threaten to leave, but you were like that one time.
Should we break up?
Yes, that's what I mean. At that one point, you were like, I think we need to like take some time away and like think about it
for my birthday.
Yes,
weekend.
we took the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, there were just a couple times.
And we did that, and I immediately regretted it. Like, I was crying all weekend. I hated feeling that distance from you. But at the same time, I wasn't even at peace when we were together. This is not a podcast for advice on how to deal with this. Like, if you're feeling doubt in a relationship, go somewhere else, because I have no insight for you.
Yeah. No, we would like have conversations, you know, every couple weeks about like, okay, where are the red flags? What?
And we were still having fun during this time. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. No, it was awesome. It was amazing.
I think what it was. Sorry, do you want to say something else really quick?
I do, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, you know, we would have these conversations and try to assess like, okay, well, where are the red flags? Like, what red flags could possibly be making you feel this anxious?
Yeah.
And we would always end up at the end of that conversation being like, there truly are no red flags.
None. Nothing.
And so that was kind of like giving me hope. And I had felt, and maybe this was part of maybe what made you feel so scared, was I felt so sure about us very early on.
Yeah.
Like, we started dating, and within a few weeks, it's so funny because I hear people say like, oh yeah, like, it's not often, but like you'll hear like stories of people who got married in like 3 months and like, you know, they got engaged in a week or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like, we knew.
Yeah. And I, you know, you hear that story and you're like, okay, that's ridiculous. So unhealthy. Whoa. But I really actually felt that. Like, it wasn't like a week, but it wasn't long. It was maybe a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then it just, I don't know, something about it. I was like, man, like, this is it. Like, I felt really great about it.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't you start ring shopping during that summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't get engaged until the following February.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's insane.
Yeah. So all this to say, we would have these conversations, and every time the end of it would just be like, there are no red flags. There truly are no red flags.
None.
And we had those conversations for 8 months straight. And after every single one, it was like, there truly aren't any red flags. It was almost like I think we would have these conversations to sort of like help calm you down
Yeah.
in a way, you know.
It really did.
And another thing I noticed, and maybe this is what you were going to say, but like the times that feeling of fear and anxiety would come for Tori were the times when like something stressful was happening in her life. So like
remember, I'm starting a new major.
yes.
I was in my semester of business school. I wanted to get a 4.0 when I graduated. Like that was my ultimate goal. Like I just wanted to be top of my class.
Yes. Which you did end up being.
Well, I wasn't. I don't know if I was the top of the class.
Right, but you had a 4.0.
I had a 4.0 when I graduated, and I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Like I noticed, we did notice that when I was the most stressed out at school or whatever, that's when I would kind of start pushing you away, I think, and trying to control. I guess maybe trying to control some part of the situation.
Right.
And I think another thing I remembered before was that I think we were kind of discussing marriage.
We were.
And I was just I think that was a huge factor in it, because the difference between me and Josh's dating histories at this point was that he had been single for how long before we started dating?
Before we started dating. It was like 2 years.
2 years. So he had time to kind of be by himself for a while. And that was a huge value to you. Yep. And I mean, I had a year. Kinda.
Yeah.
I had a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it probably felt more like a couple months because I think you needed to the things that happened to you, like you became single and then your grandmom passed away and then you took leave of absence from school. So it was like all three of those things happening all at once. Like I think it was just so much change that you needed to kind of like find your footing again. And so I think when maybe this happened with you and I, kind of made you lose your footing a little bit, which freaked you out.
Yeah, it did freak me out. And so I think that had something to do with it. What else was I gonna say? So this continued on for like 8 months. Yeah,
we eventually got to a point, maybe it was me, where I just stopped bringing up marriage and I stopped bringing up like
that's what it was.
Yeah, and I was just like, it's not worth talking about this anymore because
I was like, let's just date.
Yeah, let's just date. Yeah. And so I think we went through a period where I stopped saying I love you. This was tough. I forgot how tough this was.
Like emotionally taxing.
Yeah, this was tough.
It was.
I hated having to take that step backwards.
Me too.
I think everybody does. Like nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, I'm getting sad thinking about it, but we can keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important.
And it ends up. Well, look at us now. That ends up great. So, no, but we really just does. We sort of took that step back, and I stopped saying, "I love you" to you because. And
did I understand? I don't know how I reacted.
Well, the reason I stopped was because you. We had this conversation about how you felt uncomfortable saying it to me during that time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and so
I didn't know how I felt about you again.
Yeah, and so I think also you felt uncomfortable when I would say it to you because you felt the pressure to say it back. Yeah. So I was like, okay,
it's so weird because like when I said it the first time, I really meant it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't saying it because to be nice, like
sure, yeah.
He would have sensed that immediately.
Totally.
I'm not really good at hiding my emotions.
Yeah, and that was another thing that made me feel so good about this relationship, despite the doubts. Was like when we would hang out together, you were so authentic, and I was like,
yeah, I was still able to be like completely myself. I was still obviously having like a really great time with you, and like I loved being around you. Like it was like hanging out with like a best friend.
You know how like sometimes I feel like this happens a good amount of times though, is like if someone in a relationship is maybe not really feeling it for the other person can kind of tell that like they're not being authentic, they're not being real, you know what I mean? And so like
they're not the same person that they were when they first started dating or whatever.
Which will like cause issues, you know what I mean?
100%.
And so like it almost would seem like that's what was happening, but it wasn't. It was so interesting because like, we were having these like discussions and you were feeling anxious and scared and feeling all those like doubt and all of that doubt. But the times we would hang out together, it was like
So much fun.
It was so much fun, and it was always very authentic. You were always very authentic, and so I think that's what made me feel so secure in the fact that, like, you know what, I think this is gonna work out eventually. I feel like I viewed it more as like,
and that's the only thing that kept us together.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
You being so confident in the fact.
Yeah,
which is the Lord.
Yeah, I felt like I viewed it more as like, who you were, was not what these doubts were, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
I felt like it was like,
yeah,
these doubts were sort of like a separate thing that were
Yeah.
like not real. It's not that they weren't real, but it's like they,
no, but in a way they weren't. Like
there wasn't like a foundation to them.
there was nothing to them. It was
Yeah. Like normally people have like have doubt, and there's like something, like there's a very strong
they can like
reason for
track it back to something. There
Yes.
was like nothing I could track this back
Yeah.
to.
Which was interesting. I don't think I've ever experienced something like that before.
Yeah.
But you know what? Looking
It was
back,
so frustrating.
yeah. But looking back, it makes sense. I think with what you had gone through, and yeah, it was a year since from that point to when we started dating. But that's the point. That's not that long.
That's,
you know what I mean?
from a 3.5-year relationship to,
And leaving school and having
all the stuff that happened.
Yeah.
In only a couple months to kind of like get my footing, like you said, find a new major, reconnect with my community.
Yep. Yeah, like be single,
Be
like
single.
Yeah.
Reconnect with my friends. Like, yeah, it wasn't really a lot of time to process everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I regret when we got together at all.
Right.
But it was just, weird timing.
It was weird timing. I think you were like learning how to like build a new foundation in a way, because a lot of that was stripped away.
I was like learning how to be myself again.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
So when we started dating, and then like the feelings were really strong.
Yes.
Right away.
Well, after the third date.
Yes. Right. Yeah. I mean, from when we started like officially dating.
Well, yeah. Once we became official.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like we said, it was only like a month and a half until we said "I love you" to each other. So, and it felt, it wasn't like it was like a fake "I love you."
Oh my gosh!
Like we were saying,
we were so like. I remember you were telling me that you went to a really close friend of yours who had been married for a long time at that point. And you were like, is this normal? Am I crazy? And this friend just completely validated your feel, like, a man of God. And, he just was completely validating your feelings. Like, no, like it really is when you know.
Yes.
Like that's how, because he was like, I did a similar thing with his current wife, when they were dating.
It's funny how like when you're single, old people tell you, like, I say old people, I just mean married people.
Oh my gosh, don't call him old.
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Oh, I wasn't referring to him. I'm
sorry.
Oh,
okay, good.
I was referring to like my parents.
Okay.
Sorry, Mom and Chris. No, you guys are not old. I just mean married people. You know what I mean? They'll say like, oh, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to be like,
we had never experienced that before.
Yeah. And I thought it was such a stupid thing to say.
I didn't think it existed. Yeah.
No. And then I experienced it, and I was like, oh. And it was like, it was only a few weeks. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's the most bizarre feeling.
I forget what I started saying or what we started saying, like going back to that.
Let me think. I forget too.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we were just talking about how like, everything, like the relationship was good, and there were no red flags.
Exactly. Yes.
Everything was in reality good and right, but there were these doubts that didn't really have a firm foundation on anything.
Yeah.
So, but all this to say, we got to a point where it was like, okay, we kind of need to take a step back. We're not going to like express our love for each other verbally.
Yeah.
From here on out.
That was.
We're not going to talk about marriage, and yeah, that was rough.
But like necessary. Like I'm not blaming it.
It was necessary. Yeah. So anyway, from there, yeah, you got it.
And so that went into the fall. And then I remember just in the fall, like, I was praying through this whole thing. We both were. I know we were just like both on our knees, like trying to figure out what to do. Because it couldn't go on like this forever. We both knew there was going to be a breaking point. Like literally we were going to break up at one point.
Yeah.
If this kept going.
Yep.
And that's the last thing both of us wanted.
Yeah.
It was just so weird. This is such a weird situation.
I know, it was
I
weird.
was like saying it out loud. I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world? So there was a time during the fall, I remember I was feeling better. I felt less doubtful and less and more secure in our relationship. And then it was just kind of a gradual up and up from there. You know, I think I started putting less pressure on myself, and yeah, like and then we went on this like camping trip with like a whole big group of people, and I remember that was like the first time in a while I felt really good about us.
Yeah.
I was like talking about marriage or whatever, and John was like, the heck?
I was so confused. I was like, wait, what is happening?
Oh my gosh, I come out so bad in this story.
No. It was.
I feel so bad.
No.
I'm so selfish. I could have let you go at any point, and I just wanted you to myself.
I mean,
I figured this out.
I didn't want to go, so that's why.
Okay, good. That was a test.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would have left if I didn't want to deal with it anymore.
That's true.
You know, and so, but all this to say, I said this earlier, but I noticed that Tori would feel these doubts very strongly during stressful times in her life. So, for example, like if even something like having a really big test coming up, like something stressful like that, if she was like freaking out about it, that's when I noticed like the doubts would like really intensify.
Yeah.
And so that happened a few times, and like those doubts were really strong. And then after, it was like that October.
And nothing changed with my school situation or anything.
Well, this is what I was gonna say was that like, you know, you still had stressful moments after that. You still had like nothing, like you said, nothing really changed with school. Like you still had really stressful tests, and like you were still trying to like maintain that really good grade, and it was, but those doubts like never came up again.
Yeah.
They just,
and
like,
they
went
never
away.
have. I do have a fear sometimes that one day I'm just going to wake up and they're going to be there. That is a real fear I have.
Yeah. We'll work through them.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'll be like, well, you're stuck. So.
Really though, that's like probably the best thing ever.
Yeah. You gotta get over it. No, I'm just kidding. No, we'll work through it.
So
I really feel strongly.
Because they came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then they went away out of nowhere. It was like, no, like pinnacle moment. I wish there was.
So it's funny, as we're talking about it, I really do feel like this is what happened. You lost so much of your foundation in a very swift, not long amount of time. Yes.
Yeah, period. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and like a very, very strong foundation. You know what I mean? With what you were doing at school.
Like I put a lot of my identity in the life I had before that breakdown.
Yes.
That was a huge part of my identity.
Yep. And then those things were like gone.
Yeah.
You know? And so you were
kind.
Yeah. So like you needed that time. I mean, thank goodness we didn't date like earlier.
Oh my gosh.
That would have been really hard.
We would not be sitting here today.
No, it'd be really hard. So, you know, you spent the year and like figured out what major you wanted to do. You were learning how to be single again, you know, reconnecting with your friends, reconnecting with your community, things like that. And so you were starting to kind of get that firm footing again. And then we started dating, and it was like
a new threat almost.
Maybe that's how your heart viewed it.
Yeah.
Or like, I think it was just like, it was really getting serious. You know what I mean? It was really getting serious.
A lot quicker than I anticipated.
Yep.
The next person I dated to get serious.
Yes. And I think like that threat of like sort of like changing up the foundation and changing up your footing of like where you had been like getting set on, you know, that really was freaky. You know what I mean?
It really was.
Yeah.
It was
Which
intense.
makes complete sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think like by that October, it was like 10 months into our relationship. I think it just was a matter of like you just kind of getting used to it.
I guess it was.
Like getting used to the idea
that makes
of like,
me feel better.
Yeah. Like getting used to like, oh, okay, like Josh, yeah. Like you could see me as your husband.
I
and
really
like,
could.
You're like, oh, okay.
You stood by me through that whole period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, who is this incredible man
Mm.
who is just so patient with me? Like, I didn't think I could be loved so much.
Mm.
Yeah. And wanted so much. Yeah.
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 It is interesting. Like, I feel like for both of us looking back, like, it was totally the Lord. Because, like,
1000%. I even described it earlier. I was like, it felt like the Lord was, like, seeing my heart struggle so much. And he just reached in and, like, manually changed the gears so that the doubts went away.
yeah.
Like, he, just healed me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds so crazy, but.
It was really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like.
And then there was, like, never a single hint of doubt ever
I
again.
was so confident. And
Despite
it felt so
stressful
good to be so confident.
Yeah. Despite stressful situations, despite, like, all the things that were triggers before,
Mm-hmm.
there was, like, it was, like, never again.
We could say, I love you again.
Yep.
Like, that was amazing. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess if that's something you're going through or could go through or have gone through, I don't know. Kind of evaluate what's going on.
Yeah.
I was thinking this day, like, really, sorry, it's kind of muffled. I was thinking about this today, like, how much counseling helped me, how much counseling helped you.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so important to just everyone go to counseling at some point because we all have stuff from our childhood, especially from our childhood, that impacts the way we interact with people today, especially the person we love the most.
Yeah.
Like, whether that's your boyfriend, your fiance, your husband, vice versa, and it really makes a difference to kind of get an outside point of view on how you deal with stress, how you communicate love, and to kind of just get some common sense in that area.
Yep.
Like, it was just so vital. Like, it's still, like, vital to me now, I think, to kind of get that perspective. So, I probably should have been in counseling that whole time.
I mean,
but there was no time. I was trying to squeeze a major.
I know it was hard.
It was hard. Yeah.
It was hard.
It was rough. It was
Yeah.
rough. But all I have to say, the reason we brought up Love is Blind is because I couldn't imagine going through all of that in a 4-week period.
Crazy.
I would have said I don't at the altar.
Yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't have blamed you either.
Yeah.
I've been like, yeah, I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So I really can't judge them.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say was that, for me, I just, like, look back and I'm like, it was totally the Lord because, like, I really, in the midst of what you were feeling, I never once, like, felt any sort of doubt. I don't know.
That's so crazy.
It's funny looking back because I'm like, I don't really know how that happened. I was
baffled the whole time.
Yeah, I just felt, like, really sure.
Yeah.
I felt really sure about, like, from very close to the beginning, like a month in, I just felt really sure about us. And, I think I was sort of evaluating our relationship the same way you were, like, along the way. You know what I mean? Like, really trying to make sure, like, are there any red flags? Like, am I missing something? Good, yeah. And I remember praying a lot and, like, trying to, like, understand, like, okay, is there anything that we're missing? Like, is something there that we're not realizing? And we just could never find anything. And we tried for, like, 8 months.
Yeah.
And we just never once were like, no, like, we never once were like, oh yeah, like, this is a pretty clear red flag.
Like, this is something we need to unpack.
Yes.
There was nothing.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
And so
crazy.
I really do think it just was a matter of you needing some time coming from what you had come from. Just so much change.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, life change, and then coming into a serious relationship,
that is, like, definitely on the road to marriage.
Yes. And we felt it early. We were like, this is really it. Like, I think this could 100% be it. I mean, for me, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah. So it was amazing how sure I felt, despite, our conversations and despite everything that was going on. It just was like, it really was amazing how sure I felt. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story.
Yeah. And then I remember, like that October, you started feeling better. And I remember you told me you felt like you were like really confident. And I was like, all right. And I think I asked your parents a couple weeks later if I could, for their blessing. Yeah. And so I just was like, because at that point, I had stopped looking for rings to sort of like, go along with what we were doing.
It was painful for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Doesn't feel good when the person you're going to marry is not feeling that same way.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was all kind of triggering to you to look at rings and.
Sure. I think also like, even though I felt so sure, like there was always a possibility that you would not feel it and then you would want to break up too. You know what I mean? So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But then, I mean, like once.
So many things could have gone wrong.
Yeah. No, but then you started feeling better and you felt confident and like, that's when I started looking at rings again. And then I asked your parents for their blessing and then
how'd that go?
A couple months later.
Can we tell some stories about that?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Okay. I want to talk about when you asked my dad to be my boyfriend.
Yes.
So I remember coming home. We had a conversation in like December, and we're like, no, I want you to be my boyfriend, and I want to be your girlfriend. And he was saying those things to me, and so I come home and I excitedly tell my parents, I'm like, it's official, and my dad goes, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. He has to talk to me. I was like, seriously? But I mean, I'm his only daughter, and looking back, I get it. Like, I don't hold any resentment for him towards that. But in the moment, I was like, seriously? So he's like, yeah, he has to. Me and him have to talk. So I was like, okay. So I remember telling you, and you were like, over text at least, you were like so on board. You were like, or you were a good sport about it. Yeah. Because, I was like, hey, my dad said this, like, and you were like, oh, great, I'll give him a call. And I was like, what? You're going to call him? I'm like, you're so brave.
Yeah, I gave him a call and we just met up. We talked. It really wasn't that long of a conversation. Yeah. We talked for like maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half hour, something like that. Yeah. And so, yeah. And then
Are you glad that happened?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I am. I'm glad. I don't mean this in a bad way. I really mean it in a good way. Like, I'm glad for him, I think. Because it was for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay. So then, fast forward, you asked my dad and my mom.
Yes, I took
them. Can you do that whole story?
Sure. No, yeah. I took them both out to lunch. And asked them both for their blessing. And, they asked questions. I feel like questions that I would think all parents would ask somebody. What? You know what I mean? Things like, what is my sort of like short-term plan with you as far as like where we're going to live and like, they ask some like financial questions, things like that. You know what I mean? Like responsible questions, like questions to see like where I was at with like my life and kind of figuring out like how responsible am I? Like what's the plan here?
And it's so funny because they like, it's not funny, but they know you in the context of you being my brother's best friend. And I guess this was them trying to get to know you in the context of you being my husband.
Yes, I could see that.
So it is different. Yeah.
Yeah. And so by the end of the conversation,
and being part of the family.
Yeah. From their end. Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine like for them, like you said, I was Donnie's friend for so long. And so now it was like, oh, like I'm becoming Tori's fiance and then Tori's husband, it's like, that is a big,
their son-in-law.
Yes. That is a big change. That's a huge change.
Huge. Yeah.
So, and, so I totally get that, but all that to say, at the end of it, Tori's dad said he needs some time to think about it. And so, which is fine. Like I was, it was okay. I do remember like he said that and then we were kind of wrapping up and, I think he went to go pay the bill or maybe go to the bathroom, something like that. He like got up from the table and walked away.
Yeah.
And your mom was like, he'll say yeah. Like she was like, he'll say yeah.
My dad, I think, is a processor himself. So I'm sure he just needed like some time to process.
Sure. Yeah.
And pray and you know, he's a
he didn't keep me waiting long either.
How long?
It was 2 days.
Oh,
really?
I don't know. Some people have an answer right away.
Yeah, that's true. I think when he said that, I just kind of prepared for
like a week.
I prepared for like weeks. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just gonna sit here. Like, I think when your mom said that, it made me feel better. So
like
I was
you could wait weeks.
Yes. So I was like, okay, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he came to me in 2 days and gave me a call, and he was amazing. He was so great. He was like, yeah, like I wouldn't want anybody else to marry my daughter. It was like, yeah, it was really sweet.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So like he was like honored that I would wanna marry you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty great.
I know. You are pretty great.
Except during those 10 months when I was doubting everything.
I mean, I still thought you were amazing. So,
baby, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
That is so sweet. Yeah, those are crazy. I remember we were sitting with some of your extended family, and we were talking to your uncle, and your uncle had a daughter that was getting ready to be proposed to. And he was like,
oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't want to say any names because, no, I don't want to say any names. So, he was like, I don't know. Like, he was conflicted because.
We had gotten married at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. We were married.
This was like last year. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a while ago. And he was like, I don't know. And I told him, I'm like, well, you could do what my dad did and you could take a couple days to think about it. Like he knew like this person, that the guy was going to come to him and ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. And he felt conflicted about it, for various reasons, can I say it?
I think he was just like, I think he needed time to process. I think it was like, you know what I mean? So I think.
Like he didn't know how he was going to react in the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, well, you can do what my dad did and take 2 days before you'll answer. And he was like, you can do that? I was like, yeah, I guess so.
I was like, well, that's what Tori's dad did.
I was like, that's what my dad did. He's like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting, he ended up giving them his blessing, and, they got married, and it was awesome. But, yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
There are no rules, I guess.
There are no rules, yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like when you're single, you sort of have this like idea of like how your relationship's going to go and then how your marriage is going to go or whatever.
Man, expectations can be your downfall, can be your...
And I feel like it's easy to put those expectations on other people as well, other people's relationships. Yeah. And so like I feel like we didn't really make those, like what we were going through during that time, like known to anyone. Like you had talked to your friend, you know what I mean? And I talked to one of my friends, but like, what am I trying to say? If we had like brought it up to like people who if people who didn't really know us that well.
Oh my God. I don't think I wanted to bring it up to a lot of people.
No.
Because like, I felt so guilty.
Totally. But what I'm trying to say is like, theoretically, if somebody were to like hear about that, I'm sure they would be like, oh yikes, like that's not good, they should break up.
Yeah, 1000%.
But like, and
I would understand that from their perspective.
Yep. And I could see myself like before that, if I was watching it happen to somebody else that I didn't know well, you know what I mean? I could totally see myself being like, oh yikes, like that's not good, they should break up.
Yeah, like she obviously doesn't want you, but she obviously wants to hold on to you for some reason.
Yeah,
no, for real.
Yeah, but like that wasn't the situation. That wasn't actually what was happening.
It's so crazy being in it. It's a whole different story. And the expectations. It's another huge topic we could talk about.
Yeah, we could talk about that on another
episode. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy how you expect to what your life will look like after a certain point, and how you expect to feel about all of that. And to me, I expected to feel like amazing, like on cloud 9. I did not expect to feel doubtful in any sense. So, yeah. And I feel like that period of time helped us so much in our communication. Like, we were just brutally honest with each other. And that's something we made a huge priority in our relationship, because in our past, we both knew about ourselves that we tend to sweep things under the rug in terms of our feelings and communication and stuff. And then when we got together, it was like, this is something I tend to do. You were like, that's something I tend to do. Okay, well, we have a complete honesty kind of pact.
Yeah.
Which sounds like obvious. We're married, of course. But it is what has gotten us to this point, you know? So I think it was really hard to tell you that I was having doubts, but I'm so thankful I did, because you did not react in the way I expected you to. Like, obviously I had a fear that you would just leave.
Yeah. And
you didn't, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I did not expect you to stand by me through all of that, stand by us, really. And we had really good conversations, and we got to know each other really well.
Yeah.
Through that point. And I feel like that gave us the building blocks for our marriage. When something's off, our immediate instinct is to just break the wall down. What's going on? Why is there something happening right now?
Yeah.
What do we need to talk about? And when you get to that, when we get to that point, it's so nice knowing that if it's an issue on my end, I know Josh will listen with open ears and an open heart, and I hope vice versa, that I will listen with with open ears. Yeah, and just attack the problem, not each other. Yeah.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah, it is funny. For being such a new couple at the time, we did do a good job at doing that.
Yeah, I think we knew what didn't work for our past relationships. And we so strongly wanted to make this one work.
Definitely.
Yeah, we didn't want that. We didn't want communication to be the issue.
Yes.
That we weren't successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
And now here we are.
Married and doing a podcast together.
I love it. Oh, I'm so happy. This podcast makes me so happy.
Aww.
It just brings me so much joy to record and share our lives. I thought it'd be awkward, but I'm weirdly just all in. I'm okay with telling people every single little aspect about myself.
Yeah.
So cool. Should we wrap up here?
Yeah, we can wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you all for listening to this point. If you made it this far, we are available on Spotify, our YouTube channel, Bair Attack, Apple Podcast. I looked at Overcast. We're still not showing up there. We have to figure out a way to get ourselves on there.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. And so, yes.
But we're on Apple Podcasts.
We are definitely on Apple Podcasts now. We weren't before. We are now.
Yeah.
And follow me at The Bare Necessities. I'll be giving updates there when we post a new episode. And definitely share this episode with someone who you think will enjoy it or benefit from it.
Yeah. And
comment on our YouTube channel if there's something you want us to talk about more or in the future. And we would love to. We love getting comments and feedback. I love it. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
There we go.